All right, so I'm very, very excited to introduce you now officially to Kareno and Kimi. So Kareno Hawbolt and Kimi Hendess they run Sweet Digz Farm, which is, as I said before, a 2.5 acre veganic farm right outside of Vancouver. And that is the unceded territory of the Musqueam and the Coast Salish people. They have a passion for food justice, earth activism, and a spiritual vegan ethos that guide their farming practices, and also how they relate to their community and the ecology where they live. And they are also graduates of the Main Street Vegan Academy. Now, earlier, we got to zoom into their farm and hang out with the bees, but we have a few more photos that we wanted to show you real quick, just to really get a sense of what's going on in their farm, and kind of just to get a little bit more of a sense of what they've got going on here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you two if you'd like to do a little narrating as we flip through some of these photos. Go for it.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, there we are. Right. Zoomed right in.
That's one of our fields.
There's a rainbow there. It's faded. You can't quite see it, but that's just to show you the hedge row, the trees that are sort of bordering our farm. So we're like quite a vibrant little ecosystem surrounded by a lot of quite barren farmland.
Yeah.
And it's a very small scale model. So this is our system of creating beds and pathways. And
lots of composting. Plant-based compost is a big part of our practice. There is someone driving that small tractor. That probably me.
So we often leave kale to the next season to go to flower, so that there are lots of, and that's where we thought we would get nice pollinator shots, but the weather just wasn't cooperating. The bees were not out when I wanted to take a video, and that's this year planting our brassica patch. That's looking from the back of the farm.
We lease 2 pieces of land behind 2 big houses in a really urban environment. And so it looks like we're right in the middle of Richmond, but when by these pictures, you can't really tell. The white is insect netting. Oh, Kimmy wanted to put that in, but you can keep going, Erika. It's too bad when your girlfriend likes the shot that you don't.
It's a huge cauliflower.
It is
a great shot. That's carrots and beets growing in our little barn HQ we have.
We don't live on the farm. We rent farmland, and we get a year by the year lease. And we run a CSA box program.
This is one of our volunteers helping us mulch our garlic fields. And oh, the photo didn't get in. There's huge snow geese that always fly over top of our garlic planting at that time of year. That's our beloved River, who 2 days ago was her 2 years of not being with us anymore. So we love her very much. She loved sitting in the garlic. That's the garlic growing, and milky oat growing in amongst the garlic. A little bit of our harvest.
Love that one.
Hanging garlic. That's me hanging the garlic in our packing shed. And we grow medicinal herbs as well. We're just getting into that. So we have a little medicinal herb area that we dry and process to medicine. Very small at this point, but we'd like to expand that more. That is cilantro becoming coriander, and the bees
love it,
loading pollen on their legs.
We try to have things in flower all the time, and that's sort of one of the goals of veganic practice, is to have a lot in flower all the time. And cilantro is an easy one, because if anyone's ever grown it, it wants to go to flower.
Can we use that as a transition? Actually, if we pause the slideshow, Phil, I would love to go right into that question of veganic farming. Because that's a term that I don't know if everyone's familiar with, but this was one of the questions I wanted to ask you in our Compassion in Action segment, is what exactly is veganic farming?
Well, so one way, there's many definitions, and they all focus around the fact that we are in relationship with nature and that we respect all of the beings in the ecosystem. And I really like one definition that is Megan, forget her last name, of Learn Veganic. You can look that up online. Is that it's a system of farming that is not completely free of animals, but where animals are completely free. And so we don't have domesticated animals. We don't domesticate animals. We don't have animals on the farm that are working for us. We not only do we farm amongst them, but we also take steps to protect and create habitat for them. So that's sort of one version of a definition of veganic farming.
And then in terms of the things we use, like plant-based compost, plant-based amendments. So everything we use and bring into the farm from outside of the circle is vegan, free of industrial animal agriculture.
Beautiful.
And a lot of the practices are not unique to veganic, like using floating row cover to protect the crops from insect damage, but we use that exclusively. We don't use any kind of pesticides, which even in organic farming are broad-based. So they will, you'll hurt the ladybugs as well as the aphids.
Yeah, everything is kind of broad spectrum. And so we kind of joined an ecosystem that was already there, and we joined a food system that was already there. And so when we look at farmland, we think of, oh, human food. And this is their farmland. They're all eating and doing their thing. So we join it and we try to grow food for humans within an ecosystem that is shared with the residents that were already there.
And they nibble at the food we're growing as well.
But we don't call them pests. We just plant a lot. And then they take 10%, like, yeah.
You're tithing to the insects.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. A couple slug kisses here and there. We tell our members, like, if you end up with a slug in your box, like, I can guarantee you they don't want to be there, just like you don't want to see them. So just like release them. Yeah.
Beautiful. Talk about interbeing. There we go. We brought it full circle.
Yeah.
So the second question I'd love to ask you is to bring this into the spiritual now, because, obviously you even mentioned in your bio, this is also a spiritual ethos for you. So can you make the connection between who you are as farmers with your spirituality?
I think Kimi and I have always sort of been on a spiritual quest, and we used to do a lot of meditation and a lot of, sitting on the mat or yoga, and we started to not have time for that because we were farming. And what we realized was it's almost like the yoga of farming, or the pharma. Like, we sort of extended that practice into how we farm. And so it's a practice of non-harm. It's a practice of presence, of being there. And so I think we try our hardest. Obviously, farming is quite stressful, but we've tried to create it as a sanctuary for humans and the beings we share it with. And so I think because we don't have time for the off the mat stuff, we have to do the farm stuff. It kind of became our practice was the farm.
And for a lot of people who decide to be vegan, the motivation for a lot of people is to eat peacefully. And that was sort of a transformative moment for me when Kareno said, I want to be vegan. I want to eat peacefully. And she said, I want to eat peaceful. And I just have to change it to the correct grammar. I can't, I'm so type A. But
I thought it was better the other way.
So it works better the other way. But so if we eat peacefully, then as through our journey as farmers, we just thought, well, we have to farm peacefully. And there are so many ways in which farming is so not peaceful. And I liked Nathaniel talking about a nonviolent revolution. I'm really going to read that book because we need a nonviolent revolution in our food system globally. There's just so much destruction, and it's really possible to transform it and to farm in a different way and to feed the global population in a different way without cutting down the rainforests in order to grow feed for animals. So it's like, once you dig into the impacts of the animal agriculture industry and that global food system, you realize how much we need to just shift to plants. I mean, everyone here knows that, but it is very spiritual and it's very political as well. So we've kind of tried to combine those things.
If people wanted to learn more about you and what you're doing, how could they find you?
Gosh, we don't say much about veganic farming on our website, but you can learn more about veganic farming by Googling it, learn veganic.
For us, because we decided sort of quite consciously to not spend a ton of time on the computer and not have a smartphone, and to be, that was part of our sort of techno presence, lack of presence on the farm, was being away through the techie world. So we've really kind of stayed free of that. So you can go to our WordPress, super DIY, and then also that's kind of it. We focus on really local. We're really small, we're really local. And so, but you can check us out on our WordPress. But there's the veganic network, and it's a growing movement. There's lots of really cool new farmers and organizations.
There's a farm called
this.
Show Farm, and
SHO.
Seed the Commons is an organization working on veganic farming, and Jiva Bhavana is out of India. So those are just a few resources. And we are going to start a veganic farming apprenticeship next year.
Next year we're doing.
It's in the works. We'll start small.
Okay.
Everything we do is very small.
We can come visit you and apprentice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So just the WordPress site, what would the URL be of that? Do you know?
SweetDigzFarm.ca, and that's Sweet Digz with a Z for you all Americans, with a Z for us Canadians. SweetDigzFarm.ca.
Excellent. We'll put that in the chat too. All right.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And those for the rest of the photos we didn't get a chance to see, check out the Instagram channel. We'll make sure those are posted so you can flip through the rest of them. Thank you both so much for sharing all of your compassion and the way that you put that into action in the world, and for being such an inspiration.
Thanks, Erika.
Thank you.